Are we on?
That's good. Yeah, we're on. It was going live. Like I clicked go live, and now it just seemed to have started. Like I'm telling the truth. Like it was, I clicked go live.
It's up on.
It's been up on Facebook. That's why we have 23 people on there. I do them both at the same time, and so the stream the Facebook will do this to you. I mean, YouTube will do this to you sometimes, to where, like, I don't really want it. It just takes forever to buffer sometimes. So I should have checked again, but it was trying to go live. Do you want to start over?
Do we need to? Did YouTube hear the opening?
No, YouTube didn't get it.
YouTube did. Everybody was on Facebook. Like, I swear to God, I started the stream. I wouldn't do that to you. That's
It was up on Facebook, so people got it.
Yeah.
But
welcome in.
Yeah, well, just to catch you up. I mean, we were just talking about last night, and welcome in. Make sure to hit that like button, that share button for us, comment for us, as we have been live on Facebook for the last couple of minutes, but now we're catching up here on YouTube. Welcome in. We appreciate you starting or finishing your Sunday with us here. Remember, all the Sunday conversations are brought to you by the law offices of Lance Beal. Lance Beal, of course, down there in Lafayette and Acadiana. 337-991-6263, 337-991-6263. Law office of LanceBeal.com if you're looking for him. Brand new website, great website. Law office of LanceBeal.com. Is where you can find them. But LSU falls last night, and we were just talking about now, if you look at just the disarray that LSU football is in, how bad the quarterback room could potentially be now, on just how awfully it was mismanaged last night. Max Johnson gets a couple of drives, and then Garrett Nutsmeyer comes in. And I was saying all last week, I did not agree with the way that they were handling Nutsmeyer. I thought that Nutsmeyer should wear the red shirt, get the new coach in here, and let the new coach handle the quarterback situation, and don't do any more damage to the team in handling the quarterbacks. I mean, does anybody trust Ojulari on anything at this point? I mean, just park this thing in 2 weeks and get the hell out of here, right? I mean, and to see where the quarterback room is now, after last night, you break the trust with Nutsmeyer last week, airing out the conversation that you had with his dad, airing out the conversation he had with the player. You've now ruined Max Johnson for the season as far as he goes. His confidence is shot. And I'm not saying that the players don't have autonomy on this and don't have any responsibility of where the situation is. But something is going on when you just look at the numbers of this thing. When you look at the overall numbers of where LSU is and where they were a couple of just weeks ago to where they are now. I mean, the drop-off in production, the drop-off in confidence, the drop-off in being able to see anything out there that makes any sense to Max Johnson. I mean, think about where Max Johnson was last year against Florida, Ole Miss, finishing up the season, to where he was starting the year, even from a numbers standpoint. I mean, his numbers weren't horrendous in games to where they are, over the last couple of weeks. Think about the run game and the way it's just fallen off in production. I mean, something is just disconnected with LSU offensively, and we'll talk about Durante Jones and that defense, because they are playing over their skis and playing really good football and deserve a lot of credit. And I'd imagine that Jones is setting himself up to get a conversation with the new guy. And if it's Dave Aranda, he'll probably keep the job, which Dave Aranda's stock has to be going through the roof after what they performed on yesterday. I mean, think about it. Max Johnson was throwing for 300 yards a game. And now he's throwing for $150, $140.
And getting pulled.
The running game was averaging over 100 yards a game. Now it's finishing up around 20, 25. I mean, like, what the hell is going on? Why so much regression? And Ojulari last night in the post-game press conference being asked about that Wildcat call and being asked, don't you have the, kind of, Cobble was kind of fragilely asking, like, you're saying that you got to improve the calls, but can't you say in the moment, like, fellas, we're not running that.
We're cooking right
now.
now.
And I mean, he said, I help out on defense, and I've just never been an offensive guy. You're the head coach, man. Like, haven't you seen enough football in your day with all of that experience? Haven't you been on the practice field all week long to say, hold up, we haven't run this all year long. We have an opportunity right now to win the game. I mean, think about if they get points right there. They win the game. And that bullshit goes out onto the field from the headset, from the sideline, into the huddle, onto the field to get called. And I mean, it's just like, it's very reminiscent of Les Miles. It's very reminiscent of feeling just like, what is anybody down there looking at? What is anybody down there thinking? Why would you air out the conversation with Nutsmeyer's dad and not realize that you're going to hurt yourself from just the relationship standpoint with Doug now and with the player, Garrett, and now that you don't know how to manage the room and you've totally screwed the quarterback room up. The quarterback situation at LSU has gone from as healthy as it's ever been, as competitively healthy as it has ever been, to they may not have a guy. Walker Howard, if he stays committed, gets into the program, may be a Brandon Harris, Jarrett Lee type situation where you're back into the mode of recruiting these high-end guys, bringing them in early on and saying, save the program. You got to win. You got to win now. You got to play now. You got to, there's no buffer. There's no grace period in between recruiting, high school football, and SEC action for you, which has ruined. There is a graveyard full of quarterbacks outside Tiger Stadium of people that have come through here that have been, unfairly giving that responsibility and just can't do it. And they shouldn't have to. The quarterback cycle should take anybody 2 years before they take a meaningful snap. A lot like the progression that Miles Brennan was on. Miles Brennan was on a great, really kind of elevator, staircase trajectory of playing where you get him some time early on, you get him some experience, you don't put him in any situations that can win or lose the game for you, but get him really good feeling and understanding of the speed and what it takes to play at that level. Keep him in the weight room, keep him in the film room, keep him on the practice field, and then 2-3 years down the line, it's your job. And now they're in a situation where you had a true freshman quarterback out there running around for his life last night behind a shoddy offensive line with a shitty game plan, and now is answering questions in the media after last night's game about his decision-making and what happened down in overtime where he throws a bad pass on a terrible call and loses the game. It's like, man, can y'all just get the hell out of here? I mean, I was thinking last night, can LSU fire that guy twice? Can you fire him again?
Fire your interim.
I mean, can you fire this guy again? Like, this is enough. It's enough damage. We get it, man. There is a vendetta. There's an axe to grind. There is whatever it is between both sides. But this thing is doing so much damage to the LSU football program that, it's going to have to be, it can be recovered. It is recoverable, but it's going to be one of those instances where it's going to take a couple of recruiting cycles, a couple of swings and connections inside the transfer portal at the quarterback position to get it right again for the new guy, and that can't happen overnight. It's not going to happen overnight. But it just is amazing to see the destruction that Ojulari, Derek Panamsky, and this LSU football regime has caused in just 2 years. It is almost impressive. how fast they were planted on the tip top of the mountain in college football, at the peak of the sport, and have now crumbled down to the ground, have burnt the thing nearly down to the foundation. If Max Johnson enters the transfer portal and Garrett Nutsmeyer is your lone quarterback going into the spring, Ojulari, Panamsky, and crew can wave the flag of just totally destroying the LSU football program under their watch. You know what I mean? Aren't people judged in their job and their profession and whatever it is you are competitive about, or look at success and failures as kind of the guiding light? Don't you look at success and measure it by, did you leave it better than you found it? Did you leave it better in leaving than where it was the day you got it? And while there was a lot of positive things to take away from 2019's LSU football season, and so many memories and so much good that was done in our community and our state with people and the LSU fan base pulling together and showed the strength, you could measure just as much destruction caused, if not more, on the way out with that debacle last night. And looking at the way that the quarterback position was managed. And now 2 more weeks of questions and situations and just incompetence, ignorance, just totally disconnected from a leader to a team, a CEO to employees, whatever the model that you want to paint. It is just a disaster with Ed Ojulari in LSU football. I mean, if you don't think that he can screw up even more, then he screws up the quarterback situation. Why would Garrett Nutsmeyer need to play? Somebody explain it. I know that people were calling for him to play last week, and they wanted to see a new flavor, and they wanted to see somebody that would make plays, and I understand all of that. And the opportunity to play him against ULM and keep his red shirt intact was something that I was, okay, that's cool. Get him some good experience there. But what did you have to play him against Arkansas in 2021 for? For what? For what good could have come out of playing Garrett Nutsmeyer last night, even if you win the game? Even if you win it. You know that the offensive line is going to go through more turnover this week with Ed Ingram and Chasen Hines not playing. You know that the offensive game plan, if you were there on practice on Wednesday, it sounded like it was a fire drill at practice on Wednesday with the offensive coordinator just leaving the practice field and leaving those 2 quarterbacks behind, saying, you guys figure out the game plan. We don't want to put that on the freshman, do we? You don't want to put that on the true freshman that's here. I know he says he wants to play. What do you expect him to say? The kid's been the best player on his team since he was 8. He sees a program and a team struggling that doesn't even understand that Jack Bech is the best player on offense. Get him the ball more. They don't even understand that. And for the same people that were criticizing Max Johnson last week about missing Jack Bech in a late game situation to win the game, check out the film on the interception of Bech running across the middle. He's wide open again. Nutsmeyer didn't see him, and I'm not here to dump on Nutsmeyer. I think Nutsmeyer is going to be a great player, but he had no business being on the field in a meaningful moment where now you've got to measure and coach his confidence back up. Where you didn't even have to put him in that situation. For what? I mean, even the people that don't know a lot about football are saying, shouldn't Max Johnson be playing in this game? The guy that protects the ball, the guy that understands game plan and just turn around, hand it to Ty Davis-Price and get the hell out of here with a win. Didn't it make a lot more sense for him to be out there? You didn't want Brett Favre in that game, did you? Gunslinging it and just throwing it into spots that just don't look like the window is as open as it seems. And he's got a great arm. He's got a live bullets that really make you intrigued to watch him play. But I don't want to watch him play and ruin his confidence at 18 years old. I'd rather wait on him to watch him play at 20 when he's ready. And now you don't have to get him sports psychologists to get him ready to play, because the first time he saw Arkansas, he couldn't get out. He couldn't get out of the pocket. Throws that he was making his entire life at high schools and on the recruiting circuit, they weren't there last night. Yeah, man, they weren't, because this is the SEC. You weren't ready for that. He wasn't ready for it. It's mismanagement. It's just the disconnection. And again, look, man, I know what's done is done, and I'm not here to beat the dead horse. It's just you cannot get to the finish line in 2021 fast enough for LSU football. Just when you think that the ship can't sink any deeper, you go legions more down in looking up. If the quarterback room is screwed up now, it's a much bigger issue to rebuild and rebrand the football team for the next guy. And that's the dangerous part of allowing the fired coach to run the program for 7 weeks, is that, I mean, can't we all agree? Did you see him sprint from the sideline to the locker room last night? Did you see his post-game press conference? He don't give a damn. I can't expect him to give a damn. Really and truly, I'm not mad at that. It's a scary situation to think about. What could happen? What more can happen to the brand in allowing the leadership to stay intact over the next 2 weeks? And there's no other option. There's nothing that's going to happen. If it's going to be done, it would have been done. But it's just,
I mean, you're not surprised that happened, right? Like the fact that they put in.
I am surprised at the way that they handled the quarterback situation. I really am. I cannot
Really?
believe that football people behind closed doors are not saying, hey, guys, let's look out for the best interest of the individual before we really kind of ruin him as well. The team thing is done. There's nothing to play for. There's nothing more that you can look at and
You
say,
don't want this team
hey,
in a
if
bowl
you
game.
give Nutsmeyer the juice, if you give Nutsmeyer the opportunity, he's going to do this for us, and it's going to set us in a direction where we could go experience and get these types of. There's nothing that makes any type of sense to football people behind closed doors, in my opinion. If this is our trade, and this is what we're doing, and it's our responsibility to manage this roster and get these guys ready to play, I'm looking at Nutsmeyer and saying, fellas, this thing is burning right now. It is on fire. Let's not subject the true freshman to this right now. Let's allow whoever comes in next to keep him as mentally stable as he is from this season in college, and allow him to coach him into competition next year. He's going to be ready to compete for that job next year. And if everything stays
So
intact,
you want to see him play?
why?
Because
Who does?
I think LSU,
Who wants to see him play?
I think LSU football does.
Why? There's nobody attached with LSU football right now that has anything to say so about the future. You don't need to see him play for anything into the future. You allow the other guy to do that. What you have seen up to this, if you can't win with Max Johnson against Arkansas, that's on you, man. That's on the coaching staff. I'm not putting that on. Max Johnson could have won that game last night.
I agree 100%. That's what we're saying, like in our pre-show meeting. That's what we're saying. It was a flip-flop, but that's what caused, because if you put Nutsmeyer in against Alabama, he does what you think he does, where you say he's a gunslinger, but LSU was needing a splash play against Alabama, and that's what Nutsmeyer provided. Like, you saw it on the 3rd and 20 in the overtime, where he's able to make throws that Max Johnson simply can't. Like, his arm is electric and it's live, and he takes chances that other people don't, or at least Max Johnson won't, because Max Johnson is concerned with protecting the football, and that's why if you have Max Johnson start that entire Arkansas game, the LSU offense finds its rhythm and they get going and they probably win 20-13. And it's not fun, it's not flashy, but you could have won the football game that way. But because of what happened against Alabama and not having Nutsmeyer in, they gave him the green light. They said, let's see if this is the spark that LSU football needs. Because you saw Max Johnson in those first 2 drives. He brought you nothing. Like, I don't know if he's not mentally okay with where he doesn't trust the system that he's in, or if he's just absolutely physically hurt. And that's why I think they wanted to put Nutsmeyer in to give him an opportunity to say, look, this is the last game you have. You can play 4 games before you burn your red shirt, right? So this is his 4th game. The red shirt is still intact. And you get to see him against Arkansas as opposed to seeing him against ULM. Like, of course he's going to light up ULM. That's high school football for him. I think him and Arkansas competition and LSU is like, you're throwing him into the fire because Nutsmeyer has – what do we say? Son of a quarterback's coach, son of Doug Nutsmeyer, played big-time high school football in Texas. Like, this is what the moment that he's kind of been bred for. He wants to be in that game. Like you go back to what they talked about last week. That's what he's here for. He wants the big moment. And when Max Johnson is kind of not giving you a whole lot, dude, he's giving you what? Has he thrown for 200 yards in the last 4 games? No. Like, he hasn't been good. So Nutsmeyer can be the spark to win a football game. But it was just, I agree with you, it was disjointed the way that they put him in there and kind of called plays. Like, even the run game seemed sloppy because it wasn't they didn't have the reps together. But I understand putting him out there. And also, I know that there's going to be pushback for not putting Max Johnson back in. But if you can't mess with the freshman's confidence that way either. Like, they're walking a very delicate line with how to kind of break him in. But I think that was the best opportunity to see what he has. Throw him in there against Arkansas, a top 25 team, and see what you can do, because the LSU offense with Max Johnson has looked anemic. Like, at least he was out there trying to make some big plays. The big play to Jack Bech doesn't happen if Garrett Nutsmeyer's not playing quarterback. Like, you have to take the pros and the cons with what was out there, and he played hard.
I don't need to see anything from Nutsmeyer right now. I'm not interested in seeing anything.
But the fans were.
I
like,
didn't
you
learn.
Put
But you can't coach for the fans, man.
But then what are you playing for? Then why even do it?
You can't make decisions for the fans.
I think
you can't. I
don't think they were, like, because look at what like I said, Max Johnson hasn't played well. Like, it was time just to. I know it's a freshman, and I know it seems shoddy to put him in there in that situation. But Max Johnson has been bad, and then you saw him do the exact same things he did against Alabama, where he can't make a decision and he can't pull the trigger because he's so scared to turn the ball over. And if you're an offensive coordinator or Ed Orgeron, like, give me the other option. Like, let's go see if this guy can go win a game for us. And that's what they were trying to do.
Well, 2 interceptions later and an overtime loss. You know what? Now you've got a lot more coaching to do. You've got a lot more picking up the pieces and trying to figure this thing out. There's a lot more now damage that has been done to the quarterback room at LSU. And I'm not trying to make this thing dramatic, because you can just simply get on the practice field and figure this thing out and it'll work itself out. But I'm just saying, you're doing things that you don't necessarily have to do.
I understand.
You know what I mean? You're bringing on drama. You're bringing on problems that you can really control. And just as football guys, I mean, isn't that what they preach? You know what I mean? But like all of what we would believe would be coach and locker room code has all been broken. I mean, like that conversation of Nutsmeyer and Ojulari being aired out. That stuff is locker room 101. Don't go tell a media press briefing about that. You know what I mean? The way that the quarterback position was managed last night.
The football team is managed looks like this. This is just a very public version of it, to where it's like they don't know what the hell they're doing. I understand that part of it. But I just, and even when you talk about him talking to Nutsmeyer, like, obviously that should not have been public, but I don't think it's that big of a deal. It was him asking. Once that came out, it became very obvious.
Stanley Reed, Jordy, you guys you want them to pack it in. We get it. No, Stanley,
no.
I do not want them to pack it
in.
Win. I want them to realize that you can win the game with Max Johnson last night. You don't have to run Ty Davis Price and put Garrett Nutsmeyer out there to learn what?
Wide receiver.
To do what? You know, I mean, like, you guys are making all this money as football-minded guys, and this is the game plan that you have against this team? This is the way that you think it's best to manage the quarterback? It's just the damage that is being done to the football program right now is, I'm telling you, it's incalculable. I mean, you cannot put a price tag, you cannot put a weight, you cannot put any type of grade, any type of measurement on it, because it's just now the quarterback room could be screwed up.
That's what you worry about the most, right? Because now there's friction between Max Johnson and Garrett Nutsmeyer. Maybe not personally, like personally, but certainly when they're in competition. And I feel like, who do you think's going to start next week? Like, if you had to pick one, I think it's Max Johnson. I think they put Max Johnson back out there because you didn't see enough from Nutsmeyer, which I thought he played. I don't want to say he played well, but he didn't play. I guess he did kind of lose us the game. But it felt like he lost LSU the game, but he also kept you in it. But that's all you wanted to see. You wanted to see his ability, if he was a playmaker or not, that what you saw in the practice field. But when you go back to Wednesday, I think that's the bigger conversation between there.
That's where they got beat.
That's where they got beat. When you have a head coach or your offensive coordinator going, y'all, like, that's little league bullshit. Like, y'all roll the ball out and figure it out. I'm going to my truck. Like, you can't do that if you're getting paid X amount of dollars to have two guys in quarterback competition. You don't know which one you're going to pick, so you say you pick your ball up and going home. Like, you got to have a little bit more gumption than that if you're the offensive coordinator. Like, it falls on you. You figure out the one to pick. Like, that's on you. And you can't just go, I don't know what we're going to do. Y'all figure it out. Have fun. Like, what do you want to throw a fucking football through a tire? Like, it is disjointed from that end. It's just kind of frustrating.
All right, we'll be back here with BJ Ojulari, LSU defensive end, talking last night's game versus Arkansas and getting set up for ULM. Remember, Lance Beal, attorney at law. You can find Lance Beal online at lawofficesoflancebeal.com. It's a brand new website, and it's fantastic. Check it out, lawofficeoflancebeal.com. 337-991-6263 is the phone number. 337-991-6263 is the phone number. Lawofficeoflancebeal.com is where you can find Lance, whether it is a personal injury, small business, construction law, family law, estate planning. Reliable representation is what you can count on from Lance Beal. Lawofficeoflancebeal.com and 337-991-6263. Lincoln Riley and Dave Aranda met up on the football yesterday, the Tiger Bowl edition of 2021. We'll talk about that before we get out of here. BJ Ojulari next here on the Jordy Culotta Show. Hebert's Specialty Meats, home to the finest boudin in South Louisiana. Two spots right here in Baton Rouge and out in Prairieville. Stop in and see them in the Dutchtown Shopping Center on Highway 73 or right here in Baton Rouge on Jefferson Highway. Online, abearsmarkets.com, and they're all over social media. You can find them on Facebook. You can find them on Instagram. Hebert's combines perfect seasoning with that authentic Cajun flavor. Find out for yourself. Baton Rouge on Jefferson Highway and in Prairieville on Highway 73. abearsmarkets.com. Go Chevrolet is proud to announce Go Express Auto Sales, the new used car lot located in the capital city of Baton Rouge, Louisiana at 11522 Florida Boulevard. Go Express Auto Sales is online at goexpressautosales.com, or you can search them on Facebook and social media at Go Express Auto Sales, the newest addition to the family of Go Chevrolet. Remember, Go Chevrolet is located down in LaPlace, Louisiana, but now welcoming aboard Go Express, the new used car lot located in Baton Rouge, Louisiana at 11522 Florida Boulevard. BJ Ojulari all over the field again last night. Big fella had 4 tackles, a tackle for loss, a couple of solo stops last night versus Arkansas. LSU defense, one of the stories of the second half of the season. They have turned up the heat, man. They are a totally different unit, bro. They are flying around out there. BJ Ojulari, who is one of their top players and one of the leaders on that side of the ball, is with us every Sunday night here on the Jordy Culotta Show. Great to talk to you again, man. How are you?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Doing okay, man. Tell me about last night. You were flying around, bro, again on a Saturday night making plays. You got to be proud of the way your defense performed.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I'm definitely proud. You know, came out with the same mentality as last week, and we definitely went out and played a good game.
What's been the difference, bro, over the last couple of weeks? I mean, you guys are flying around out there, and you're missing a lot of your top-end players. What has kind of been something that you can point to and say, look, this is kind of motivating us?
I like to say a lot of guys are just stepping up, filling those roles of the injured players. And, there's nothing to lose no more. All the guys just flying around, back against the wall mentality. We changed the scheme last week, and it's paid off for us.
What was last night like? I know that's not the outcome you want, falling 16-13 in overtime, but take me to Tiger Stadium last night. What was yesterday like?
It was a very, very, very disappointing loss, especially losing by a field goal to a team, you should have won 2 weeks in a row. The same predicament, same outcome, 2 games that we're supposed to come out victorious in. So in the stadium, it was a very disappointing feeling in the locker room as well. A lot of tension and stuff like that.
How is the mentality of the team right now? You mentioned that, but can the leaders kind of right this thing for the next couple of weeks before changes are made?
Oh yeah, most definitely. In the locker room, the leaders they spoke up. They're keeping everybody head on straight. We got 2 more weeks. Still got to keep our bowl eligible hopes alive with these last 2 games, and we could definitely do
that. I've seen this, and I've been in sports and not played at the level that you're at, BJ, but losing like that, close, like you've done now over the last couple of weeks, that's probably more frustrating than like getting blown out, right? I mean, like you kind of mentioned it. It feels like y'all are close. It feels like you're right there. What's the feeling like on that in the locker room?
Losing close, it is worse, in a sense. But yeah, the last 2 weeks, very close games that we should have won. But I just know on defense, and we're playing great. Offense is doing some good things. We saw Garrett out there last night. He showed some very good things that I thought was very impressive.
We have a listener question coming in from Max Toscano, who asks, ask BJ if he's more comfortable as a stand-up edge. Does he feel like he's better suited for that role?
Oh, yeah, transitioning into the next level, that's what I'm going to be playing. More outside linebacker, designated pass rusher, stand-up, rush, drop-in type of end. I'm definitely comfortable with playing both. For the last 2 years, I was in 4-man down, 3-point stance, but I can definitely transition from both, and it's good to have film for both for the next level.
Yeah, you've been jumping off the film the last couple of weeks. What was today like? How is your health right now in the back end of this season?
I'm feeling all right. A little banged up, but that's to be expected this late in the season. But treatment is going good. Mr. Jack, Mr. Bo, Miss Mickey, they're all taking care of us in the training room. So everything's going good. Going to prepare for ULM starting tomorrow.
What's it like planning for a guy like KJ Jefferson? He looks a lot like Cam Newton out there running around. I mean, he had guys bouncing off of him. What's it like going up against a quarterback like that?
Yeah, he's a big quarterback, about 235, 240. So, he's hard to get down. We had him a couple times in our grass. We let him go. But he's a very strong quarterback. We just had to gang tackle him. And I think we did a pretty good job of containing him last night.
What's the week look like?
Same week preparation going in tomorrow, workouts in the morning, tell the truth Monday, and then just go from there, start from Monday all the way to Friday.
You guys can keep this emotion up, this mentality on defense, right? I mean, it to me, that was one of the questions of leaving Tuscaloosa last week. Will you be able to carry that over? It looks like y'all have, for sure. How do you feel about closing with that type of energy?
Oh, yeah, no doubt in my mind that we're going to close strong on the defensive end. The mentality is there, and his mentality is going to stay there until the last game of the season. So I think the coaches engraved that in us starting on that bye week, and I think he's going to stay with us until the end.
Have a great week of preparation, bro. It's always good to talk to you. Great effort again last night.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
You got it, man. There is BJ Ojulari checking in from LSU Football. As right now, BJ and the Tigers are now preparing for UL Monroe. LSU will end the season here on 3 straight home games. Was there last night a lot of energy in the stadium there to start?
Agree. Yeah, I would agree. I mean, that's what I was wondering if people were gonna. I feel like a lot of people got some buy-in after the Alabama game where they saw like, okay, if the defense is gonna play like this, and then I know there's been some back and forth about whether Nutsmeyer should have played or not, but I think that got some people interested in the game and going to see the offense to see if it looked differently. Because like we said, if he plays against Alabama, it feels like he could have possibly gotten, if it's only 15 snaps, he gives you something just so different than what Max Johnson's brought to the table. So I think they just wanted to see what Nutsmeyer was made of. And if you're going to play him in, I'm not quite sure if you'll see Nutsmeyer for the rest of the year. So I think that's why he played that amount of extended snaps, because you look at the season, it doesn't really matter if they win or lose. But you want to be able to put Nutsmeyer, what's probably wants tape out there, because when we start talking portal, it's like, all right, this is what I can do. I have, 80 snaps of offense on tape now. So I think that's what, maybe not if you're, like a scout or what have you, or other teams, they wanted to see Nutsmeyer play. But if you're an LSU fan, I wanted to see him play last night. I wanted to go see what he looked like in that offense and see if that was the difference maker, because their games are polar opposites.
Yeah, they are. They definitely are. And I just hope for not only Walker Howard's sake, but the LSU quarterback room's sake, that they can salvage these guys and keep these guys in the program and keep the competition up, so you don't have to get back into a mode where you're looking at a revolutionary type player or a big time recruit like Howard could be and say, day one, game one, play one, you got to drive the car and you got to stay healthy and you got to make all the reads and you got to put the ball in the right spot, and you don't have any experience doing that, and LSU has to have you. I mean, that's what's burned so many at LSU. I mean, there's the list is countless of how many guys have come in here that have been talented and that have been just not ready to play when people have been, told them, you got to save the place, you got to save the program.
Brandon Harris, one of the most prolific throwers of the football in high school, like
Jarrett Lee the
certainly
same
in
way.
Louisiana, and then you're talking Texas, and they get in, you get brought into a situation like, dude, I can't win like this. Like, there's no chance for me to have success at LSU when you're brought in like that.
So we'll give you a little bit of coaching stock before we get out of here, and don't forget we're back with you tomorrow morning.
Wait.
7 a.m.
If you're Miles Brennan, do you look at the situation and say maybe the best spot for me is still LSU?
Well, it depends on what happens.
Because that's stable.
It depends on what happens with if anybody leaves.
Right. It might just be like, all right, maybe I put my name out there doesn't mean he has to leave.
I feel like with Miles, it's just the program's kind of
in disarray.
Going to be restarting, and he doesn't.
My next chapter.
You can't stick around for that.
And like he said here a couple of weeks ago, I mean, the turnover in coaches and coaching staff at LSU, and let me just go somewhere that I feel like I know. You know what I mean? Probably, but Texas is wild. Texas is in
quarterback
shambles right now.
Mississippi State.
Mississippi State is intriguing. You know what I mean? Like, Mississippi State looks like they're getting it right. They're playing. That's a nice win.
That was a
versus
Auburn
win
yesterday.
Biggest comeback in school history for Mississippi State on Saturday.
And they keep being close to doing that a lot.
Yeah.
Like, they've been in every
game.
game.
Should have beat Arkansas.
That's
Great
right.
win for LSU boys.
That's right. Yeah, exactly. But
it's a better win than Florida.
Better win than Florida.
Like even Ole Miss.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, like even they looked really good last night.
He was on game day too. He's perfect, dude. He is such a college football coach. It's so good. Like the fact that you have to like time, like, I can go on game day real quick and make some Tennessee jokes and hop out there. Let me go out there and score 50. Like, Lane is just such a character, and I guess I hate that that's why it probably won't work in Baton Rouge, but he's perfect for here.
He is.
Like in an alternate universe, if you don't just have what happened
really
with Ojulari,
he really is.
People would bleep and love him.
I still love him.
Me too. Maybe he's on the board. Haven't heard it. You know, the old Woodward Shuffle.
Hit the like and share. One guy I will tell you that I mean, to me is I know that his name is probably number one on the board for a lot of people, and it may even be Woodward. And his name gained a lot of steam last week. But Lincoln Riley, to me, his teams, his mentality, I mean, I can embrace it because your offense would always be good, but it's a very soft brand of football. And if you saw his comments after the game yesterday, I know that there was a safety thing when you talked about the people of Baylor and the stands just kind of unloading onto the field. They did that a little prematurely, which was a player safety question that Lincoln Riley had, and there should have been some protocol on penalties. And he questioned whether or not Aranda should have, kicked the ball, and he said, a couple of times, I wouldn't have done it. I wouldn't have done. Yeah, you would have, Lincoln.
You would have.
Yeah, you would have.
Cap.
Stop the count.
I mean,
all the 40-year-olds in the chat are like, "What are you talking about?"
just I mean, it is. I'm not saying that.
I mean, don't throw dirt on the man that might be here,
Right.
Jordy. Don't burn this bridge
Exactly.
before he gets here.
Exactly. But
Love you, Lincoln. Love you, Dave.
No, I thought that Dave Aranda's stock went up tremendously yesterday.
Yeah.
Dave is starting to show a little emotion.
He is.
He's
Yeah.
starting to
I
get.
like it.
He's fallen into this head coaching role, and he looks like he kind of likes it.
Yeah, well, I mean, his teams look a lot like
him.
he
Portrays
himself. Very
Disciplined.
organized, very disciplined.
Might slit your throat in the night.
Absolutely. Like, very kind of like quietly aggressive.
Meticulous.
What's wrong with these people?
So I don't know. You know, I mean, I just think that
If you had to pick, after, I mean, obviously we're going to do the power rankings on Monday. I would imagine we'll get to this, but Aranda stock up, Lincoln down possibly.
I think that
14 points, bro.
Lincoln's stock is definitely going down to people that were
He's
really high on
distracted.
him last week.
He's distracted.
Also, as we were talking about mismanaging the quarterback,
Yeah.
Lincoln kind of did the same thing yesterday.
Did he bring in Rattler?
He brought in Rattler in the third quarter.
Yeah.
And it was just.
I mean,
it
he
was
kind of
just-
got after Williams for a couple of decisions that he made, and
He's a freshman.
Yeah.
you know,
Freshmen don't make some wild plays out there.
I don't
Freshmen,
know.
it's so
Look
crazy.
look at his press conference yesterday after the game. You know what I mean? I just was sitting there thinking, ugh. Yeah.
That and Baton Rouge media is going to go great.
Yeah.
God, you're going to eat another. I mean, this is the New York City of college football media is Baton Rouge. Like, just the people, like, maybe not the media itself, but the people around it and the message boards. Like, it is the talk of the town. Like, I don't know if he knows what he's stepping into. If you think Lincoln's hard, or if you think Norman, Oklahoma's hard,
Right.
buddy.
You know nothing about Baton Rouge.
Well, I mean, like, you definitely are not going to be able to like cancel media sessions.
no,
Yeah,
they'll go knock on your
Oh,
door.
my
Oh yeah,
God.
for sure.
I
I
know
mean,
where
like
you
they
live,
will
dude.
start,
When I-
or we will start. I mean,
right. When I first saw that he had canceled his media session, I was like,
That would
What?
never fly.
"What?
that
You got-
is
You can do that?"
The media
right.
got.
I don't think you can.
I don't think you can. But that's what we think that's not even allowed.
right.
Yeah, we're mad if you don't practice in the rain. Like, what do you mean you're going inside? You're closing the doors. What's going on with the football team? Like, if you think you could just actually, I'm not doing that today. It's like, dude, that is not going to happen
Yeah, it's not how it
ever.
rolls.
Yeah.
You know who does know about that though? Billy Napier.
Yeah, Billy Napier, Dave Aranda does.
Yeah,
My
well,
top three right now would be those three. It would be
I think, and you can get
Aranda,
one
Riley,
of the three.
Napier.
Is what feels good. Is you can get one of those.
I think
three.
you can get two of the three for
You
sure.
can get three of the three.
I think you could get two of the three on first offer. You know what I mean? Like you could get two. of
First
the-
ring pickup.
Yeah, just hey.
But
Do
he
you want
could-
the Do you want the LSU job?
Yes.
Yes, I do.
Yep.
All right, cool.
Absolutely.
You don't have to ask. As soon as they call, yeah, I'll take it.
225 area
Take-
code. Like,
take the
oh
job.
hell yes. Pack my shit, Susan. We're going.
We'll talk about it more tomorrow morning. In fact, Andre Anthony is going to be in the UDL at 7:30 tomorrow,
Yes, indeed.
which we are very much looking forward to. And we'll talk to Andre Anthony just all about his experience. Super senior, was really set off to have a solid final year here in Baton Rouge. In fact, his
At
last
least you got to
game,
score a tutter.
yeah, he got
Got
a run out touchdown that he had a scoop and score. We'll ask him about that experience. What could be next for him? And you know, we'll get his thoughts on the LSU job. On
Love to get
who he
Thinks
thinks
coaches.
could be.
Should be him.
Oh,
I would,
he's a GA.
hey, I would ask if he wanted to be on staff.
Yeah.
That's the type of guy that you know can really help somebody with a transition.
I agree.
Christian Lacater pretty much did that.
Exactly.
I mean, I think Andre will definitely have, his time in the league. I mean, he'll get out there and he'll play it a little bit, but if it doesn't pan out, I think he should definitely.
He
keep
needs
that.
to be around the LSU program.
Yeah.
He's an LSU guy through and through. Do you think he has a jersey he wants to bring here? That would be
We'll
a great
text him.
addition.
Yeah,
A
we'll
3
text him.
in
We'll
here
text
would
him.
be fire.
Wow. We will ask him that.
Got basketball tomorrow night.
Basketball tomorrow night. Basketball rolled on Friday night. Tough one for LSU. They could never really
Down
get
at
into a
half.
rhythm. Efton Reed and Xavier Pinson were in foul trouble early on, so their rotations were kind of being moved around. I thought Tari Eason really played well.
Yeah, he single-handedly turned the basketball.
I
game
mean,
around.
he picked up the slack and was really playing good. I thought Brandon Murray played.
Brandon Murray's
that
going to
is
be a
a-
dog
that
by
is-
the end of the year.
That is
He
one of
is.
these smoothest jump shots I've ever
It is
seen.
a very
It's Bradley
professional-
Beal at
It's a
Florida.
very pro-looking
Beautiful.
jump shot. I would love to see him. Adam. I'll say this a million times,
Hurts
but
my
Adam
heart,
Miller
dude.
helping
You
him
could see-
transition. I mean, he would cut down Brandon. I mean,
Yeah.
think about how more effective Murray's minutes would be with Adam Miller.
Coming off the bench.
Golly.
Slice dive, corner 3.
But the second half, LSU turned up. I mean, look, man, we can bang on defense, and they still hadn't played a lot of talent. They hadn't been pushed, but as many shot clock violations as they caused the other night for Texas State, for as much as they're getting back on defense and the emphasis that you see they have on that side of the ball, they're affecting shots at the rim. They're pushing ball out to the outside and running in lanes and getting out. I mean, they are a fun team to watch, man.
Yes.
Yeah.
They put asses in the seats, and even in the first half, there were some possessions and some times where it kind of was like a little dull, and people where you could hear the crowd was great again.
Right.
By the way, the crowd was great again on Friday night, and I think that those will just continue to grow. Obviously, with the outcomes here, competition is going to be picked up. Who do they have tomorrow night?
Liberty tomorrow night.
That's a big time game. That's a big time game
For their
Freeze in
conference.
town, maybe. Do you think he's got something to do?
It's a big time game. No, you ain't got a chance at this one, bro. You ain't got a prayer at this one.
It's definitely an improvement in
they'll talk
competition.
about that one in March.
Yeah.
They will talk about tomorrow night's game in March.
Liberty is going to be playing in March.
For sure. I mean, they always are.
Yeah,
they always are.
And that's how he schedules. Like, Will Wade does this on purpose, and he won't make any bones about it. He's like, this game's gonna be hard. Like, I know y'all don't know about Liberty, but I know about Liberty.
What do they call it? Quality points? Is that what it is?
Yeah, it's like you gotta
the
get
grading
into
scale?
the rungs.
Yeah, the tiers.
Yeah.
I mean,
Tier 1 win.
This is gonna be a
a tier
nice
2.
win for LSU, or just really
He's
good
a genius.
competition. I mean, they made the tournament every year without question. You know
Right.
what I mean?
He knows,
he knows how to calculate it.
Yeah, Lenardi better watch his back. Because Will Wade's right on him on bracketology. He's like, I figured out the formula. He cracked the code.
Right.
So they play tomorrow night against Liberty. That'll be a good one to be at. What time's that tip off?
I think 7.
Okay.
Tomorrow.
Okay, I like the
going.
7 o'clock
I love
tips.
them, dude. It's
bro.
fun to
Me too.
go.
It's fun.
Me too.
It's fun. Alex Fudge, shout out to Alex Fudge. Great
Overtime
Yes.
Fudge. He did.
Great basketball game on Friday night.
Bro, he played great.
He hit a little outside jump shot.
Then he had the putback.
He had the putback. You were talking about shot clock violations. He single-handedly caused one Friday night.
Well, he's a hand in the face type guy,
Yeah.
bro.
He's all over the place.
And I mean, and
he's
they
long.
exploded after he got. I mean, he's flexing. They're yelling. I mean, it's beautiful.
That is the biggest takeaway from the from the basketball
Yeah.
team is, dude, the Chemistry Tuesdays
It's
or whatever they
amazing.
did, they're all in on each other. They love playing basketball with each other.
Yeah, they
that's
do.
the first thing that hops off the page
They
to me, which
absolutely
is the
do.
most important thing in
Right.
basketball. It's awesome. Very good.
Pinson had a rough night.
Yeah, he did.
And he got
Gaines
this little.
picked it up?
Yeah, he had this offensive foul. Just to talk about
Yeah.
the chemistry, and he got pulled off. The next play, there's an and one. He's on the end of the bench, but he's up and he's yelling, screaming. It just shows they love each other.
They're all bought in.
They are. They're very fun to watch, man. So they're back at it tomorrow night. Saints fall today, heartbreaking fashion. Poor Brian Johnson, the kicker. I don't know if Sean Payton either left him in Nashville or he's going to get cut soon.
Will Lutz, man.
I mean, don't you think?
I don't know. I hope not.
That's kicker what? That's number 3?
It's just not the guy from Virginia Tech. Still
This
our
is him?
same
Yeah,
guy.
this is him.
He was doing so good. What happened? How does this happen?
I don't know, man. But
Will
And he
Lutz
hit the
fell
field
off.
goal.
Will Lutz has cost LSU. I mean, I don't want to say that he would have made. I would imagine he would, though. But
Right.
that's 2 games on special teams that the Saints should have won.
Oh, yeah,
Right.
for sure.
That's brutal. And then they haven't converted a 2-point conversion since 2018.
2018, yeah.
That is amazing.
And with Sean Payton.
Well,
That is
then-
amazing.
I know the 2-point conversions on Troutman. I mean, for getting that
guy.
false start. But then the play call was very questionable to throw the little wheel route to Mark Ingram.
Yeah.
And try to fit. I mean, Simeon fit it in that window.
He did.
But that's not the
Just wasn't open.
that's not the play you should
it
run.
was a
I think even Sean Payton is in his head about 2-point conversion plays.
Yeah.
Like, fuck, dude, I don't know what to do
Yeah,
anymore.
what do we do here?
If that was Alvin Kamara, they would expect the wheel
Yeah.
route, so now I'm going to do it with Mark Ingram instead. And it's like, well, that's not going to work. But it's hard to hate Sean Payton. But it just
No
feels
doubt.
like the 2-point conversions are in his head now, which stinks.
The Pelicans somehow beat the Grizzlies
Pulled it
last
off.
night.
They pulled it off.
It is amazing, which was their
Brandon
second
Ingram's
win
first
of this
game
year.
back.
2-12 now as they snap the 9-game losing streak. No sign of Zion. Nobody knows when he'll be back, if he'll be back.
Do you think Zion will log more calories or minutes this year?
Calories. I do.
Yeah. No minutes at this point. And probably a ton of calories.
Probably. But I mean, to talk about chemistry, the Pelicans do seem to have bought into what Willie Green is coaching. They're not. It's just they're not putting their best players on the floor.
Right.
I mean, Ingram hasn't played much. Zion hasn't played at all.
No, we're gonna have to rely on you for this Pelicans coverage. I can't do it.
I can't do 2 and 12, bro.
I can't stop watching.
I can't do 2 and 12.
Hell yes, good for you. Enjoy the pain.
I'm trying to not watch.
Yeah, you got all the LSU football that you could want. Whatever, you got to grow up during the golden era. I had to go through the list. I had to see Anthony Jennings play quarterback and Andrew Hatch.
I had to watch Jennings. I had to watch Jennings.
You have to do this, Pelicans. This is your cross to bear. I can't do it.
All right, we'll be back with you tomorrow morning. Thank you for the Sunday interaction. Make sure and hit the like and share button. Compliments of Lance Beal, attorney at law. Remember, you can find Lance Beal online at Lance Beal, attorney at law, out of Lafayette, Louisiana. Easy to find there, as we have really enjoyed our partnership with Lance, man. He's done great work for us. Law office of LanceBeal.com is where you can find him online. 337-991-6263 to get in touch with him and let him be your legal representation down there in Acadiana. We'll be back with you tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday night. Go Chevrolet drives us every day here on the Jordy Culotta Show.
I feel like Lance Beal has good football takes. Like, I kind of want to hear from him. He just like the way he looks, it feels like he's definitely invested in all LSU football and just football in general.